Welcome to Planet Capable. Join Mike, Alex, Lee, and Gwen, along with a myriad of special guests, as we discuss topics and issues of importance to the disabled community worldwide. Hi, welcome to another great episode of Planet Capable, an outside the box production. I'm Mike Rogers.
I'm Alex Jesko.
My name is Lee Hartley.
Today we have a very special guest that is going to talk about her podcast and other endeavors, the great Shanell Davis. We're going to specifically talk about accessible pleasure and what that means to people with disabilities. So, hi, Shanell.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're doing pretty good, I think. It's a Monday. It's winter, so we're inside. We're inside talking about steamy stuff. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Chanel, to get started?
Well, as Mike said, my name is Shanell Davis, and I'm an advocate here in the city of Buffalo. I sit on a few committees for the city, and I started this podcast just a few months ago.
I'm sorry, what podcast was that?
Accessible Pleasure.
Cool. Very, very cool.
So what made you want to do that, first of all, and then tell us a little bit about that. Give us a little background.
Well, when you're a person with a disability, I think a lot of us know one of the main questions people who are not disabled or able-bodied people ask is, can you have sex?
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a lot for us. No one wants to be asked those personal questions like that, especially when it's the first time meeting someone. So I wanted to create this platform for people with disabilities just to talk about sex and to express, yes, we do have sex. It's okay that we have sex. We do have these feelings, and this is how we do it.
Yeah, I think we've all struggled a little bit with that societal kind of bias about the fact that they think we're not active sexually, that we don't want that, we don't know what that is. Alex, talk a little bit about that and get us started here.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for that spotlight, Mike. I would say that yeah, I've definitely had my experiences of, especially on the dating apps, of guys specifically will ask me right off the bat with not even a hello, hey, can you have sex? Does your dick work? How does all that work? And it's like, it's very off-putting, first of all. I mean, because it's like, you don't even get a hello out of the person. Secondly, it's like, you're jumping right into the very personal stuff right away. And it's just like, I'm a person first. Can we address that first before we get into all the nitty-gritty of the logistics of sex? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that, like, people have this assumption that people with disabilities, they may not be able to perform as well, or they may not be able to do this, that, the other thing. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is, not everybody who's on a dating app is looking strictly for sex either. Some of us are looking for deeper relationships and connections, that kind of thing. And that's also why I'm there. So I really think that, while it's okay to have the conversation of, can you have sex? How do you have sex? Yada, yada, yada. I believe that should come later, after you've established some semblance of a connection with the person. But in today's age of quick and fast
dating, say hi
dating,
first.
yeah, in the age of hookup culture and that, that kind of gets glossed over really fast. Also to mention as well, the I'm forgetting the term right now, but essentially there is also the subculture. I don't even know if it's a subculture, but the kink of fetishizing a person with a disability.
Yeah.
And I'm always very leery of those people as well, because it's very easy to become an object to those people versus a person, versus a human being. So, being mindful of that as well. However, despite all that, I still hold out hope that I can have a successful and meaningful relationship. So, yeah. Mike, what about you? What have your experiences been as far as relationships, dating, and sex?
Well, when you talk about sex, and you talk about identity, and I think, Chanel, you in one of your episodes, you said that I became comfortable with myself, and I think for me, for a long time, I was uncomfortable because, like, I felt like, in my younger years, to for lack of a better term, to land somebody, and I'm saying this as a heterosexual, just so that people know, um, to land somebody, you needed to, you couldn't be poor. You had to have money. So I had to find a way in my disabilityness to get that job, so I was equal to other people, because they wouldn't accept me if I wasn't. Because I had to be as normal as I could in my mind. I had to be as normal as I could. I, so I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to get that job, get that car, get all these things that people would like, that would cover up my disability. Don't because they're looking at me weird, or they ask me, does it work?
Cafe.
um, you know, asking me all these things. But as time went on, I learned that they were just as messed up as me. If you want to say messed up, I didn't consider myself messed up, but from societal point of view, they weren't perfect. So I realized I didn't need to be this perfect person. You know, um, I've had people say to me in the past, "Oh, you don't, you, oh, basically me and this one person I was in a relationship. Oh, you don't make enough money. You're not doing this, or you're not doing that." And it was very hard. It's very hard to get a job in the working world and everything. So, but I learned through a lot of experiences that you know that confidence comes from inside you. It doesn't come from other people's outside wants and expectations. You know, um, you know, because growing up, we didn't get a good sex education or anything. The school I went to, Chanel. We both went to the same school at different times. They didn't teach us anything. So, that pleasure aspect of things had to be through experimentation. And I've been with people with disabilities and those that don't identify as disabled, and that's another thing too that we've touched upon too in our conversation, is that people, when you don't date somebody with a disability, people find that almost like miraculous or strange that you would want an able-bodied person, and they would want you, and all these built-up stereotypes, and it's all a bunch of junk. Who doesn't like to fuck?
Pretty
Exactly.
much,
I
and
mean,
there
there
are
are those
people.
there are those that don't, and I'm not saying that everybody in the world likes that. You respect everybody's sexuality and their preferences and stuff like that, but in general, we, as beings of being alive, you like pleasure, right?
Exactly.
of some
And
sort.
even for those who don't, there are people who are able-bodied who feel like we don't have a sexuality at all. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
even there's people who people with disabilities are emphasized. You
I
know,
had my chances to have sex in college, but I never took the opportunity to have sex, except for with Rosie Palms and her.
Oh,
I understand. I felt the same way in college. You know, I never dated throughout high school, throughout college, just because of my own self-esteem. And I didn't think that anyone would want me, especially being in a college setting, because I didn't really find myself attractive enough to even put myself out there to want to date.
did you feel like they being the general populace,
Mhm.
just had other options that were better? Because I know as people with disabilities, we have those thoughts sometimes. Why would they want me if they could have an able-bodied person or anybody else that they want? Who was
Pretty
supposed
much. You know, I never was the type to go up to a person or even online dating. I thought, if I did online dating, I wouldn't get any hits or anything. Um,
I have
but
had my
I just,
chances to have sex in college, but I never took the opportunity to have sex.
and I think Lee, I think a lot of us echoed that feeling, because you're finding yourself during those years,
Mhm.
and yeah, yeah. So I think that's an experience that a lot of people have.
Yeah, I would have, conversation with friends of mine, and we expressed that we wanted to. We wanted to have that experience, but we were, either too shy to approach anyone or just felt like they would say no anyway, so why even try?
Yeah, I think that is a feeling that a lot of us have dealt with. Um, Alex, what about you, as far as your experiences? Because a lot of times you'll talk to me about, you know, going into the community, as the system calls it, or as I just say, going out. Um, you talk about the the difficulty when you're interacting in like a bar scene or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I you look around the bar and you don't see a lot of people that you would notice immediately as people with disabilities, whether they have physical disabilities or not. The fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of disability presence in the public eye when it comes to
Mhm.
those kind of venues. Mostly because a lot of those venues are actually very difficult for people with disabilities to navigate. Um, and what I mean by difficult is, like, if I'm going to a bar, I have to be mindful of the floors. I have to be mindful that somebody didn't spill the drink and then I'm not going to slide on the floor, or that, if there's a bunch of people around, that I'm not going to trip somebody, or, things like that. And while those things seem like, well, those are like, everybody deals with those issues. Yes, but for people with disabilities, it kind of becomes an even bigger issue because you it can either go one of two ways. You can either become the center of attention because you are a person with a disability in a bar, or you get completely ignored by everybody in the bar. Most people at the bar anyway. Um, and I've experienced both those things. I've experienced the one where everybody wants to help me or help me navigate to the bar. And it's like, I didn't expect all this attention. I mean, it's nice, but it's also like, this is uncomfortable simultaneously. Or, you get treated like you're invisible, where it's like people acknowledge you, but then they see right through you. And it's like, I, it's not pleasant. And for the most part, you know, um, I've also had the rare experience of the bartender in the past, the bartenders just poured me drinks and said, thank you so much for coming out, or you're so brave for coming out. And it's like, why? Why? As a human being, I should just be able to come out and not have it be made of a big deal. But also,
Exactly.
but also in relationships to in connection to the idea of relationships, just trying to get somebody's attention, and them seeing me as a person with a disability, I, for the most part, the majority of the time, I just kind of get ignored. Um, which it sucks to say that, but that's the truth. Um, you know, uh, and even in most settings like that, people see that I have a disability and they'll look at me and then look away like they pretend they didn't see me. And it's like, okay. I get the vibe. So, my experiences overall in public have not been great, but even on the apps they're even worse. So, it's neither here nor there. Um, I will say I've had a few good relationships in the past that were short-lived. There are people out there that do accept me for who I am to a degree, but for the most part, the reason why we ended those relationships was mostly due to my disability. So, I would love to leave this on a positive note, but there's not many notes to be positive about, honestly. Um,
Well, Chanel, also, when I was listening to your episode that I listened to, you were talking about kind of changing the narrative. And I think even though we're talking about the difficulties of sexual relationships and just sexuality in general, we doing what we're doing right now at this moment is going to change the way somebody thinks, right? Going to change the way somebody thinks. And you know, I think that a lot of those are old stereotypes. Like when I've been in interable relationships, and for those people that don't know what that is, it's when a person with a disability is with somebody without a disability. A lot of the a lot of the things that affect the way people think are not even the person in the relationship. It's other people, family members, friends, different things like that. Like I remember I was in a relationship with someone and my grandfather was still alive and I was asking advice and he wanted to know if this person was with me for my money and I'm like, "What money? I don't make any money." That would be considered anything like big enough to take. It's like, what are you talking about? This person makes more money than me, you
oh,
know.
come on, Mike. We know you're a sugar daddy. We know you're a
Yeah, I'm not. I call myself a splendid daddy. It's more like that's about it. You gotta get that splendid. Can't get that sugar.
right.
Um, but anyway, I wanted to give Lee a chance to say some stuff here. Lee, you got anything you want to
Yeah.
add?
I have had my chances to have sex in college, but I never took the opportunity to have sex, except for with Rosie Palms and her 5 sisters.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Rosie Palm.
Well,
Yeah, I think we all, I mean, there are people that, and their, self pleasure is also something that we don't always discuss with people with disabilities as well.
not at all.
How do
Right.
you discuss that? How do you talk about it? Oh, especially with parents. How do you do any of the? Oh, my kid won't understand it.
Mhm.
About sexuality. Not my kid. Like I tell people, you know, I wasn't sent down to the from the clouds to teach you a lesson. I'm
No.
I'm a person. I'm a person you
Right.
know yeah, yes, I do that stuff for a living and with us at outside the box, but that's not my reason for being, is to show the world how to become a saint.
Mm.
I you do
Uh,
not want to look at me to try to figure out how to become a saint. But that's all I got to say about that.
I mean,
right.
people looking at us from the outside and think that we're all saints and we're all going to heaven
Right.
just just because we have a disability.
Right. And that's one thing I've noticed is the amount of people that just assume that we're like these innocent angels just because we're people with disabilities. It's like, no, we're people too. We we eat, sleep, and fuck like everybody else. Like,
pretty much. And that's why I wanted to create the podcast for that reason, but also to show people with disabilities it's okay to talk about it and have these conversations
Yeah.
and to feel desirable, to feel like someone wants you. It starts from the inside. Truly, it starts with yourself being able to
Yeah.
be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, that confidence, that the ability to say, I am worth something, regardless of all the challenges that we might have sometimes, to believe that you deserve things. I'm a total big believer in the idea that we deserve jobs. We deserve relationships. Now, are we going to always get everything we want in life? Of course not. Humanity, that's part of being alive and a living being. But we deserve those things. It's not something nice that can happen to us, or maybe, or if it does, wow, look at you. Uh, you have a job, or I people are like, oh, you live in your own. Wow. Doesn't it,
Well, you're doing such a
doesn't
great job.
yeah, doesn't like 99% of the planet? I mean, they leave their house, they go to things, you know, and it's not just about how great the agency is doing for you, or something like that. Not anything against agencies, they help out a lot, but come on, there's more than that. And I think us talking about this, and also that you have to you know everybody's got to be like 50 shades of gray to gain some sort of pleasure, or help pleasure someone else. I
hmm
I mean, first of all, I ain't got the room for all the gadgets, but but anyway, I mean, a lot of this is just, most people don't have that. What is the old saying? Um, to make sure your partner likes you, make sure the lights are off. They, because none of us are perfect, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that um so so Chanel, what were we like? What were your two episodes that you've done about, and what will we see in the future?
So, first episode was just kind of like an introduction to the podcast and what we're going to talk about. The second episode was more about confidence and just kind of talking about some of my experience, my personal experience. Um, some of the future episodes, I'm going to have couples with that are interabled and couples where both partners have disabilities kind of come and talk together about kind of the pros and cons and the comparisons of dating someone without a disability and dating someone with a disability. I also planned on doing a LGBTQ episode because there are some stereotypes within the community as well of dating in the LGBTQ plus community. A lot of times, Alex, I'm sure you get it. A lot of times, uh, you get like talked, like baby talk to sometimes in the communities, or they're kind of treating you like you should be proud to date them. You know, and I want people to understand that we do have sexuality, even though we have a disability. So I have a lot of things in mind that I've been working out with people. I also have someone that I'll be having on who is a sexuality educator for people with disabilities. And she has a curriculum where she teaches either providers or other people with disabilities to talk to people about consent and body parts and even masturbation.
Nice. Very cool.
That sounds great. You mentioned about kind of be the infantile or you're lucky to be in a relate and like right now I'm single, you know, and I know that this is not a plug for anybody, but I'm single and
Yes, it
people.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
plug yourself,
well,
Mike.
maybe. Let's be honest. Um, but anyway, you know, people will say, "Well, at least you've had relationships in the past. You have to be happy about it." And I'm like, okay, so I've had relationships, and now I'm going to be like, you know, I'm gonna
Monk.
be like a Shaolin monk or something like that. Now, you know, by the way, I like martial arts, but at the same, you know, it's like you can't want anything to be like different, you know, because you should be happy with what you had or happy with anything at all. You know, be happy with the scraps in life. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that.
Did you just refer to your exes as scraps?
No, not my
I'm
exes. I'm just saying in life in general.
I'm kidding, Mike. I'm kidding.
Well. It depends on how you look at it, though. But no, I but no, I generally wouldn't, you know, refer to somebody as scraps. Um, Generally anyway. But 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 no, I think we have to heighten the expectations for people about people with disabilities as well.
Now, Chanel, if you don't mind me asking, what do you feel? How could we further normalize people with disabilities and sexuality? You know, if there's anything we haven't mentioned, you know, what are your thoughts as far as normalizing people with disabilities and sexuality?
I think honestly, more representation, you know,
Yeah.
if you think about in the media, there's not a lot of people with disabilities in the media having sex or exploring their sexuality.
Mhm.
And that's why I loved Special, that show on
Ah,
Netflix.
yep,
I love that show so much because it was an adult male who just so happened to be gay and he just so happened to have cerebral palsy.
yep.
But it showed, you know, him navigating the dating world and just showing that the struggles he went through and also some of the positives that he experienced. And I think we need more of that and also just talking about it more and not being so afraid to bring it up and to have those conversations about sex.
Right. Also, just to recommend to you, Chanel, you should check out the newer season, the newer version of Queer as Folk. They have an episode on there which incorporates a disability orgy, which I think you might find intriguing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I actually saw a documentary. It was in a foreign language. It was called Yes, We Fuck. I
Ah,
believe it's
okay.
on Tubi, but
Okay.
I believe there's subtitles. And I recommend everyone watch it because it just shows people with disabilities and talking about sex and how they do it, and there's even an orgy involved. But it was very interesting to watch.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Definitely have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check those out as well. Um, go- just kind of one last thing before we go. You talked about in your podcast about you had a family or you had a mom, I believe, that didn't hold you back. Can you talk about how important that is about your parents, you know, you know, wanting more for you and just not going, oh no, Chanel doesn't think about that. She just thinks about cotton candy or something like that. I don't know where I came up with that, but
Well, it's very important. You know, my mom, she's very sex positive in general. So I grew up with her just having like sex toy parties and stuff. She never, you know, once we were age appropriate, obviously, but she always talked to us about sex and always talked to us about relationships in general, even if it had to do with our sexuality. She always wanted us to experience love and to be happy. She always told us no matter who we brought home, she would love us no matter what. So it was always easy for me to talk to her about certain things. She was just always very open. Even though I had disability, she knew that she could trust me to make the right decisions and also give me the tools to learn more about it. So, when I lost my virginity, she danced. She was very happy for me.
That's cool.
Yes, but she's always been really open. Me and my mom are very close, so I call
Cool.
her if I have like sex questions or if I need advice on relationships. So it's very important to have that because you want to start at home first. You want to get that comfortability to talk about it, especially for teenagers growing up with disabilities, especially if they don't have friends with disabilities.
Hmm.
Who are they going to talk to about it besides, their parents at first?
Right.
Yeah, and
So
I think that that's very important because growing up and going to the school that I went to, nobody talked about that. The only way I knew my mom wanted me to have a life that includes sexuality, she would say, "You better make me some grandkids," and
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
and but that really did say to me, "Hey, people are behind me as a person going out there and living life." You
Mhm.
know, I'm not gonna say the name of the school that we went to because I don't want to go there because I think they did a lot of good things, but I think you'd agree with me that we didn't get a good education in life and how it's going to be lived.
Right.
No, not really. Just I had health class in seventh grade,
Yep.
but that was about it. We didn't. A lot of schools I heard, had like the Baby Alive programs where they got to take care of kids, and we didn't really get that. We didn't get like sex education, stuff like that. So the things that we've learned has just been either taught from us by people who are in our circles, like close to us, or we experiment or we learned our own way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's basically the case. Um,
Excuse me.
What's
yeah.
up, Lee?
To quote Milton, I would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven.
So you kind of want to be the rogue, huh?
Mm.
Yeah. It's funny, but I think sometimes you have to be because when they think, when people think, oh, you can't experience that, or I mean, heck, I had a lady recently think that she needed to teach me how to use an elevator. That it,
Oh
that
my
I did
goodness.
that I
Again?
didn't know. When an elevator went up and down, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Like you
But
haven't used the elevator your whole life.
yeah, we were sitting there waiting for an elevator, and she's like, "It goes up and down. People come out," and I'm like, "Okay, that's an elevator."
Wait, are you
Um,
serious?
yes, yes. She said it goes from floor 4 to floor 1, and then people come out, or something similar to that. And I was like, "Oh, really?" Um, I didn't know that, even though we're waiting for an elevator.
We live in a
But it,
magical time.
but anyway, I think that these conversations have to keep happening. They have to keep happening. So I I see that we're probably coming to an end here. So Chanel, how do we find you? How do people find you? How do they know where what you're doing? How can they get in touch with you?
So you can subscribe to my YouTube, which is Accessible Pleasure. I'm also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's a couple other ones that I'm working on getting on. Uh, Also, I have a Facebook group for women and people who identify as women and non-binary to join to talk about sex and to ask anonymous questions or just to get advice. And that also is called Accessible Pleasure. And if you have any other questions, you could email me at accessiblepleasurepodcast@gmail.com. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Very
Awesome.
good, very good. And we'll put your information in the show notes so that people can get to you.
Yes, I have I've stopped recording for a little bit because I'm going through some health concerns and my voice is actually changing on me. So yes, I have a thyroid thing and I just found out my vocal cords are not closing completely like they
Oh,
should.
wow.
Yes. So I hopefully we'll start back sometime in January or February once I know for sure if I'm getting surgery or getting ablation.
Ah,
Yes.
Okay,
I
well,
hope that goes well for you for
Me
sure.
yeah,
too.
we wish you
I'm
well
just
as
recording.
friends. Yeah, we wish you well, and we're hoping that you're getting back to recording because you got some really good and progressive stuff to talk about, and we think it's needed. So
Thank you. It's very important to me to get this topic out there to people because, just like Alex, I date online and you wouldn't believe the stuff people say.
Horror stories. Horror
Oh
stories.
man.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've done that. There's a reason. Well, two reasons I don't do that. Well, the first reason is, to get the best results, you pay money, and you find that the same people are on the same sites with
Exactly.
the same bad responses. Well, a lot of the time. So that's why I've kind of stopped doing that. Because I was just like the same people ask the same stuff, right? And how did you get like that?
Yeah.
They dropped me from the spaceship. How do you think I got like that? So,
I
but
mean, it is you, Mike. You never know.
yes, and a lot of other different things that they shouldn't be saying, right? So that's important. But I wanted to ask Alex and Lee, you got any final thoughts?
Um, y'all have sex with your people with disabilities. We want sex too. Have sex with us. That's my
Yeah,
final thought.
Yeah, we have
that's
fun. We have fun
that's
and we find creative ways
yeah.
to do it.
Yep.
We like the same things you like. We don't just sit there, looking at the clouds and saying, "Wow." We know we like the same things you like. We do the same things that you do, and
And
you know,
let's be honest, some people with disabilities, we are pervs, we are freaky, it's
Heck yeah.
yeah, no,
totally
that's
normal.
true.
Heck yeah.
Love.
That's true. That's true. Exactly.
What'd you say, Lee? And then we missed that. Also, if you give people with disabilities a chance, we might surprise you. So, but you'll never really know unless you give us a chance. So
Yeah, and we're
give us the
imaginative.
opportunity.
Role
Yep.
play away. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I'll happily play doctor with you if you want me to be a
Yeah, I was
patient.
gonna
Sure.
say, doctor.
Well, being that we're on this topic, I might as well share this too. So as somebody within the LGBT community, uh I'm sorry, the LGBTQ plus community, I also engage in pup play. So that actually works really well as a person with CP. So because I'm already crawling on the floor, so I figure I might as well turn that into its own thing. So pup
Yeah,
play.
there's so many things that we can do, to make it more pleasurable for us.
Yep.
There's all different types of toys that you can buy that are adaptive or that you can make adaptive. I
Yep.
think we as people with disabilities in general find creative ways to do everything that we need.
Yep.
You know,
Sure.
and just
We
because it's not supposed to be made for as an adaptive piece of equipment doesn't mean that we can't figure out how to make it work for us.
Yeah.
we are the
We're
master
one of the most
brainstormers
imaginative people.
for
Yes.
sure. We are the master brainstormers of people for sure. We know how to make things work.
Abby Brace, you know what I want.
Wait, what?
What?
What was that?
Abby Brace, you know what I want.
I I heard it, but I don't understand it.
I
What are
don't
you
wait.
saying, dude?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, oh, you're leaving a message for a girl you met in college. Got it. Okay.
Oh, so
Got it.
Lee's doing a call out.
Got it.
Oh,
Very cool.
All right, all right.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. That's cool. All
Well,
right.
well, this
thank you.
This has been great.
Thank you, Shanell. We really appreciate you coming on.
no problem. Alex, I need a reading.
For sure. I would happily do that for you.
Great.
We can definitely schedule sometime for sure.
Okay, cool.
You wouldn't want a reading from me. Your life would never be the same.
Oh my gosh.
Unless you're reading me
But
a book, Mike, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we want to thank everybody for listening, and please, like and subscribe to us here at Planet Capable. And everybody have a good rest of your day, night, whenever you're listening to this. And please come back.
And please like and subscribe to Shanell's channel as well.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Give some
Absolutely.
love both ways. All the ways you can give love, give it. All right.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
You're welcome.